the consumer that does not have a history of drinking coffee. You have baristas behind the bar who are for the first time learning the definition of a barista. You have probably 90% first-time entrepreneurs in food and beverage coming into coffee, right? So they've probably not been, probably it's 70-30, right? 70% never been in a food and beverage retail, and their first venture is coffee shop.
Yeah, wow.
And 30% had something in food and beverage, but now they're trying to move into coffee and explore that. That puts a lot of burden into someone who's servicing that. But that means the backbone of the industry really needs to evolve.
Hey friends, it's Lee Safar here with some exciting news. The introduction to regenerative coffee farming workshops are now available on demand in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. These workshops are designed to give you actionable insights into the future of coffee farming through regenerative agriculture. Whether you're a coffee producer, roaster, cafe owner, or just passionate about coffee sustainability. For coffee producers, the workshop is available for just $10, and for everyone else, it's $20. A small price to pay for knowledge that could transform your understanding of what it's going to take to grow coffee from now on. Led by our incredible professors Angela Barrero, Murilo Bettarello, Felipe Croce, Carlos Ordóñez, and João Araújo, the workshop is packed with practical knowledge and strategies to help coffee farmers and the entire coffee industry adapt to the challenges of climate change, rising costs, and market demands. If you're a business owner, this workshop is a great and affordable way to inform your employees about the challenges ahead while also supporting Mappa Forward. This is also a great workshop to share with or gift to your coffee producers. Head to mappaforward.coffee/workshops or click the link in the description to purchase the on-demand version and start your journey towards a more sustainable coffee future today. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mappa Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is episode 3 of the conversation you didn't know that you needed to have to bring you back hope in the coffee industry, to hear that there is someone in the industry around the world, but specifically in Pakistan, that has very thoughtfully thought about the rollout of the industry that he is participating in establishing. Faisal Khan is our guest on the podcast for this series from Nomad Coffee Studios in Karachi, Pakistan. And in this series, we're talking about Pakistan as an emerging market. And in this specific episode, we're going to talk about how the industry evolved and what challenges did it face as an emerging market in Pakistan. Now, Faisal, when we first met, you were in a mastermind group for roasting with Ante, shout out to Ante Bikic, and you were, telling me some stories about how the market was evolving at the time. So help people understand what the industry looked like around that time. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so basically, as we got onto doing our first advisory projects, we had set up our commercial roastery. We faced a lot of resistance in converting cafes and restaurants, right? Because any move towards specialty required investing in something, investing in better people, investing in knowledge, investing in equipment, or investing in expensive coffee. And so the breakthrough really came from, in a sense, early adopters and young entrepreneurs who actually were into coffee and wanted to do something different. And they got it right away. And they're like, okay, we get what you're talking about. All our friends drink coffee, and we know it's a thing. We need to do it because there's no good coffee. So we had a very successful project that we did, which was specialty coffee on the go, and that had a great demonstrating effect. And at the same time, I think there was a lot of twisting and turning happening because McDonald's had turned into McCafe. They were burger chains approaching us to pivot towards burger and coffee. As insane as that sounds,
That
we had
does sound
meetings
insane.
and that was happening, and there were donut chains. So even big groups were coming on, and they were like, "Oh, why don't you just bring your roastery and put it here and in our big complex, and we can do it this way, and you want to do that." So so that was the early impression where people heard of something good and they just wanted to come in, take it over, or they and even I mean I think Nescafe made an attempt to start selling coffee beans, which was a surprise. I mean, they sort of I think now died out from the market, but so there was a lot of uh, experimentation. Now, I think over time, a lot of people have understood that, hey, get your first project right, get your concept right, work on building a brand, not just a coffee shop. And and it's there. I mean, people are filtering through a lot of the bullshit, and so are we, right? That it just doesn't require big money to be successful in coffee. It requires a lot more. Um, just to give you a little bit of history,
Yeah.
that even so, I mean, the first imported Italian brands in coffee probably came around 2000s, and then 2015, probably the first franchise came, and probably the early start of also probably early 2000s is where the first franchises started coming in. 2015 was probably when the first experiments in specialty came. I actually imported specialty coffee also from Italy back in the day, and where that was my first exposure to what was happening globally as the industry was tilting from a consumer focus to a very barista focused product. And and there were one or two or many SCAs at that point, and so I saw that, and I saw, well, this is a thing. It isn't. I don't know where it's going to end, but the world around coffee is changing, and whatever it is, it's going to be good for the consumer because if they get fresher, better coffee, and are more have more information about quality, um, and it's that experience once you have your first specialty coffee, you're like, wow. I mean, duped until now, and you definitely want to share it. So I wanted to build a business around it. Um, And so that's where sort of the first experimentation came. And I think COVID was a big impetus to that. A lot of entrepreneurs found time to actually invest and start ideas. A lot of enthusiasts really delved deep into learning about coffee. We started bringing in a lot of coffee brewing equipment. So that's also what we do. We brought drip coffee equipment to get people to move from Americano to explore better coffee. And the whole idea behind getting single region or regional coffees was uh, workable only if we could get people to explore different brewing methods and on just espresso. And that required a lot of faith, actually, and a lot of training because you had to get baristas on it. And baristas move faster on it than customers. But I think now I can have half of my clients who walk in and they're already drinking V60s. I can't keep up with the sale of Haru V60 filters. And I used to carry Haru's to V60 filters in my luggage like 7 8 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And like I used to carry like three and sell them in 3 months. And now I can't keep up with the demand.
Wow.
And and that's the level of change in the market, right? Um, and But I think what's interesting is that as specialty is growing, so is franchise coffee finding an opportunity. One of the biggest stories in Pakistan was Tim Hortons came in, right? And you and I would like, so what? And but that was a story. I mean, there's this supposedly big Tim Hortons fan club,
In
and
Pakistan?
they had lines out the door. They have a location that's stellar. I mean, you thought it would be a five-star restaurant.
Wow.
And that's how a lot of the brands,
Are entering the market?
yeah. And so the upkeep is a lot higher and the real estate is top notch. Um, and it's just coffee. But although they take good real estate and raise the prices for that, but what they are doing are increasing awareness for us,
Yeah.
right?
They're helping
Because
build a market.
yeah, exactly. And so a lot of my clients were worried about it. I was like, the more coffee shops, the more people drinking coffee. At this stage in the game, don't be worried about competition.
Pick
Competition is
your
good.
lane. I've always said it. You and I have had that conversation constantly. You have your lane, they have their lane. They don't overlap. Excuse me. They help each other.
Yeah.
As long as you're
And I actually,
communicating it clearly to your customers that you're not a Tim Hortons and you're different from Tim Hortons, and here's how we're different from Tim Hortons, you're going to be
yeah.
fine.
Yeah, and if you're the only guy selling coffee in a city, then there's something wrong with you also, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, if I'm the only roaster in Pakistan, then where's the market, right? As I say. And so, and so that's brings up though a lot of challenges, right? Because you have an early infancy market. You have a consumer that does not have a history of drinking coffee. You have baristas behind the bar who are for the first time learning the definition of a barista. You have probably 90% first-time entrepreneurs in food and beverage coming into coffee, right? So they've probably not been, probably it's 70-30, right? 70% never been in a food and beverage retail, and their first venture is coffee shop.
Yeah, wow.
And 30% had something in food and beverage, but now they're trying to move into coffee and explore that. That puts a lot of burden into someone who's servicing that. But that means the backbone of the industry really needs to evolve because a first-time entrepreneur needs a lot. I spend a lot of my time mentoring young people getting in the business. I try to do it less now because it takes up a lot of time and energy to explain people how to do their costing, how to understand strategy, how to understand brand building, because those are so important. People come in and they're fixated with the idea of what coffee they should have or what machine they should have, but they don't have a concept. And if you don't have a concept, you're going to lose track. And that's the danger, right? That you have early entrepreneurs who need a lot of support. They need a lot of support in managing teams. They need a lot of support in managing assets, which is their machinery. So are they good tech repair teams, right? You're selling 500 cups a day. If a machine breaks down and you don't have a backup, you're going to lose that revenue, right? I don't want to lose that revenue, but I can only do so much and running the business for you, right? And it's a business. It's not a hobby on the side, right? And so it requires training, having systems, having SOPs if you're going to respect the work that you're getting into. Um, uh, so there's a lot of support that entrepreneurs need at this stage for them to be sustainable and resilient. There's a lot of dysfunctionality in the understanding of coffee. because everyone is coming in different. So there's messaging that maybe the franchise coffee is doing. There's messaging that we are doing. There's the messaging for someone who's, I mean, a lot of my clients, when they first meet me, they're drinking Spanish lattes. By the time we finish their projects, they're drinking micronauts, right?
Wow.
Seen that happen like one after another, right? And so I meet them a year after, they've had their good honeymoon period, 6 months, and they might realize they didn't drink, they're drinking V60s, right? So I seen that how entrepreneur change. And then, so that's the evolution of the investor, the entrepreneur. Then there's the evolution of the barista. Um, uh, and I think that's where the market has to find some stability. I think it's going to stay fairly dysfunctional because people are coming at different paces and speeds. It's early. We have to do blame um, the center. There's so much in the world of coffee today that is flashy and glowy, but is useless knowledge, right? Is not organization of information for someone to execute a business, to sell consistent coffee, right? Do you need water to sell consistent coffee? Do you need training to sell consistent coffee? Or should you spend 3 months selecting the most unique quality of beans that you have, which you're not going to have next season? And then you're in a mess, right? Are you gonna how do you choose vendors? How do you choose suppliers? Where should you invest your money in? And and I think so a lot of the messaging that comes globally, people get focused on trends and focused on superficial antics rather than looking at inwards and looking actually learning from their customers and looking at what they're doing, looking at where they can push, looking at themselves as a business where they can take risks. Um, so I think that maturity is at each sort of local stakeholder is where our challenge lies. And in enabling that, we're trying to do our part. I had one of our clients, very especially young guy, who said, "Man, why didn't you invite us?" Right? So it's like we're talking about the baristas coming in. He's like, "Why don't you invite all the orders and just talk about coffee?" I was like, "Yeah, but I post things all the time, and I'm probably the only one who posts random news about coffee, and my team does that." And but but then I realized, oh, so then that's a great idea. I was like, okay, so we'll get entrepreneurs to come in and maybe they want to learn a bit more. And I feel like that's a gap, right? They want to feel more to what's happening around the globe. And as I said, the news globally is, what should you watch? The YouTube star, Matter Forward, or the big regulation book on a page with directives about how to do things, right? But no one really tells you how to run a business, how to
Yeah.
create customers. Um, and that only comes from stories and experiences, which, I mean, you guys do fabulously.
Thank you.
They want to meet real people and learn from real cases. But the beautiful thing about that is you can also do that if they start talking to each other,
Which is
right?
that's the gold there, right? Is you're
Yeah.
bringing these entrepreneurs together. They're exchanging story. It's a mastermind group, sort of, right?
Yeah.
They're hearing from each other. They're recognizing that, okay, we have businesses that are technically competitive with each other. But if we can cultivate a culture amongst owners that is friendly, that is learning from each other, that is nurturing an actual industry, the next generation of business owners sees that as the example and wants to do the same thing next. So everyone's still making money, everyone's still capitalistic, but they're not assholes in the process, or they're trying not to be anyway. Right?
Yeah, and to be honest, they're all spying on each other, so I don't just ask the
Do it
question
together.
that you want to ask.
100%.
I mean,
And maybe
you
you
know
can
how
all
that
have,
works.
maybe you can all come up with a better solution together.
Yeah, and I think not everyone will get along, but I think if enough people have a conversation, and sometimes you need to sort of foster that. But I think it'll be really helpful because, as I said, the contextual knowledge is the most important knowledge for the success of the industry, right? I can talk to Felipe and select great coffee. Felipe can't tell me how to sell that great coffee in
100%.
Pakistan, right? And I've done it from Portland to Southern California to Indonesia, trying to figure out what I could learn. And I think I learned the most by doing things here and
Always the way.
failing, right? And that's, I think, what the industry needs. It's more forums for having that exchange. But to that, so that I think that's one of the bigger challenges is getting the knowledge gap, what I call the quality of growth, right? That people grow, that they're growing as leaders, they're growing as entrepreneurs. They're not just growing in numbers and volumes because coffee prices can go high. What are you going to do then? Are you ready for that? So are you business planning? Are you thinking about diversifying your income? Are you thinking at all? Or you are trying to increase your engagement only? Are you, if the way you costed coffee day one, every entrepreneur who's costing in his business, I think day one, obviously the fifth year of their business, they learn a lot. They should be able to cost better, right? I mean, you would agree with that, right? I mean, you have so much more.
I would agree with it so much that we're about to release a new workshop about how to price your coffee, because I am flabbergasted at how many people came to me and said, after we put that clip out about how people are using magical accounting, so many people said, hey, whoops, I'm using magical accounting. How can I learn how to do it? If people learnt the right way from the beginning, businesses would be more profitable. In my opinion, we would fix probably 50% of the problems in the industry because most people will close down.
Yeah. And, or they slow down, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. A forced slowdown.
It's okay to have a great hobby.
But it's not okay to
pretend. Find more
pretend.
capital.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not okay to pretend that you're running a business when you're actually running an expensive hobby. I was sitting at MICE with a very well-known scientist in coffee who I have a lot of respect for, and I'm hoping he hasn't been on the podcast before, and he just recently said, okay, I'm coming on the podcast, which I'm very excited about. But we were sitting at MICE and we happened to bump into each other. We'd never met before. We're sitting there. We decided to have a meal together. We're looking around at MICE and I said to him, can I ask you, what do you think about all of this? And he said, I think it's a very expensive hobby for too many people. I said, really? He said, I don't see anybody making actual money in this industry. I'm like, wow, this guy knows more than he's letting on. It's very clear to anyone who goes to any of these conventions that that's what the situation is. But in an emerging market like Pakistan, it's not saturated yet. There is the opportunity as you're creating it, if you build it well, to build something that's sustainable. And one thing that I'm really very interested in.
And my barista can cost coffee.
Really?
I mean, that's what I've done. I mean, I wouldn't say things I haven't, right? I mean, he can open an Excel sheet and and do that. And then he does that. And that's one of the things that we do for every client. I'm not sure what they do with it because, but, but it is as transparent as that, right? So they'll get a costing sheet, and I made my barista learn it because it was that important. Because there's no way you can communicate about product, about business strategy without knowing your pricing and the rationalization around it. Now it's very difficult conversation to have, and it's very difficult because you start entering into sort of the domain of someone's
Education.
and how and knowledge, but as you said, it's just so neglected that even when we raise prices, and obviously this year is where everyone's going to hear about that again and again. We just recently, no one was happy, but and it's coming again.
I was just going to say, so folks, just for some context, we're recording this on the 30th of January in the morning for Faisal and I. Last night, we recorded the episode with Anhil and his new name, Spicy Felipe. Shout out to both those guys. And the market volatility that happened just in the space of the recording that podcast is wild, absolutely wild. And which means everyone who has just recently had a conversation with people about the prices are increasing, as you're saying, Faisal, it's about to happen again, that conversation. And this is where I'm excited. In the next episode, we're talking about the mindset of the first to market business owner in a new market. This is a really fascinating thing for us to explore, because you're having to set the tone and the pace and I guess the cadence for how that stuff starts to get communicated and how conversations around money happen in a new market in a society that I suspect is traditionally closed off to having those kinds of conversations. So join us for the next episode, folks. It's going to be a great one. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, friends. Please don't forget to show us some love by subscribing, liking, commenting, and most of all, sharing this podcast with your friends. Check the show notes for links, including our sponsors and our Patreon. And stay tuned for more great conversations on the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward.